Our next speaker is born in Tarnow, Poland. Does anyone here have family in Tarnow? She grew up in a small town in Poland and moved to the United States when she turned 16. She started a fantastic career as a neuroscientist. She is a postdoctoral fellow at Northwestern University, received multiple awards for her work, and some of her research was featured on the cover of Time magazine. Let's welcome our next speaker, Ewa Bomba-Warczak.
All right. So we've had some fantastic speakers. Now, I hope that my story will sort of wrap it up in a lot of ways for you. So I will also ask a question. We'll see what the response we're going to get. How many of you like biology and science? Oh, okay. That's good. A lot of you. And so what happens is when you are young and you like biology and you like sciences, your teachers and your parents and your grandparents will tell you, well, you like biology, you're going to be a doctor. And I know I'm not the only one, because that's what I've heard almost my entire life. The problem with that was that we were in Poland, and I was born in a very small village close to Tarnow called Łukowa, if anyone knows that place. And the reality was that we were about maybe 30 minutes away from the closest high school, and we were about 2 hours away from the closest university. And then the reality of me actually doing this doctor thing were very slim. But my mom had this huge conviction. She was just like, you're going to be a doctor. And so being a child, I really didn't kind of question the possibilities. I was just like, well, yeah, I'm going to do that, right? And then so it did happen, and I will tell you how. When I was 10 years old, we moved a little bit closer to the city, and I did enroll in high school in Poland. And if you know, in Poland, you have to choose your majors, and my major was, of course, biology. And I finished 1 year. And I moved to Chicago. I moved to Norwich, and I enrolled in Ridgewood High School. I went to Saturday Polish School, Kazimierza Puławskiego. I graduated there too. And I remember I was sitting at lunch with my friends, and it was October, and they were asking me, where am I applying to colleges? And I was there barely for a year. And I was like, are you crazy? It's October. Because in Poland, you don't apply to school until you finish school, you pass your exams, matura, and then you apply to schools. So that's how I learned that I have to apply to college. And I had no idea what I'm doing. She really helped me to fill out my FAFSA forms. She helped me to fill out all of the applications that I had to do. And I got into Loyola, and I got into UIC. And my mom stepped in, and she was like, you're going to UIC because it's free. Because it was free for me at the time. And so that's what I ended up doing, and this is my first advice. If you have a choice of not going into debt for education, please do that and listen to your parents. And so I enrolled in UIC. I majored in biology, of course, and after my first semester, I got admitted to honors college. And a part of the honors college was that you had to do an activity every single semester of different sorts. I could teach, and I chose to work with professors. So I would go up to a professor, I would pick one, and I would ask him to do something with me. And one of these professors, Dr. Kelso, he was my biology 101 teacher, and then he invited me into his office. I was going there bi-weekly, and we read papers. We read scientific papers. And this was the very first time that I actually read a peer-reviewed research article. It was like 2012, maybe, 2011. And what happened was I realized that reading papers that are research papers is very different from learning from books. And I told him that, and he just looked at me like it's obvious. And he's like, well, of course, because when you're a scientist, you don't read books, you write them. And I was sold. This is exactly what I wanted, because I really love learning about biology. What I wanted more is to make the biology, to discover how things work. And so I didn't tell my mom until my my fourth year of college that I'm not going to med school. And so I started applying to graduate schools with the help of the professors that I met, and I ended up going to University of Wisconsin-Madison for my Ph.D. in neuroscience. And over there, I worked with a brilliant scientist, Dr. Chapman, and what we worked on was very interesting because we worked on neurotoxins, and this is the article that was mentioned that was on Time Cover magazine. So what the neurotoxins that we worked on were tetanus, which you probably know from vaccines and boosters. If you step on a rusty nail, if that ever happens, you get your booster shot. And also botulinum toxins. And botulinum toxins is what was used in Botox in clinics. And what doctors were observing is that when you have Botox, a lot of times patients observe of target effects. They have symptoms that they shouldn't have, but they do. And so what we did is we were trying to study it in a lab, and what we discovered is that these toxins, once they enter neurons, they can actually spread throughout the networks, and they can affect other neural networks in your body. And this story was picked up by Time magazine and ended up on the cover in 2017. And what is interesting is what a lot of people do not know is that botulinum toxins are the deadliest toxins known to humankind, and they're classified as weapons of mass destruction by DoD. So that's how toxic Botox is. It's safe, but so that's where I finished my PhD in Madison, and then I had my daughter, and we were like, well, we want to move back home. See, our parents are here. We want to move back to Chicago. So I ended up at Northwestern University, and I'm working right across the street from Ola. And what I do there is I study neurodegeneration. We study how people age, and we discovered that there are parts of your body and parts of your brain in particular that do not ever turn over. So you're born with them, and they persist in your brain for your entire lifetime. And so what we're trying to see is how these proteins and other molecules affect how you age and longevity of people. So it's really interesting research. We've got a lot of NIH grants to study them. I just recently got an award from NIH that allows me to transition from my postdoctoral fellowship to professorship, and I just gave my job talks this week, so hopefully soon I'll do the transition. What I wanted to tell you from this story is that what I did didn't happen in isolation. There was a lot of people that helped. There was that friend that helped me to fill an application, friend that I met at lunchroom in high school, friend I'd never seen before, and she helped me voluntarily. She didn't have any benefit from doing this. There is professors in my university that I went up to and I talked to, and this is something that also James mentioned here today. You need to make the connections. Today, you're here today, make the connections, make this count for you. Because the people that you meet today, in 10 years, they can make a difference for you. Yesterday, I gave a talk at UPenn that was invitation from a friend that I know from 10 years ago. Last month, I went to University of Utah. It was also an invitation from somebody I met at a conference 6 years ago. These connections matter. This was just a really quick, brief chat after a talk, connections that people remember you. When you go to college, I switched majors 6 times. I really did not know what I'm going to do. I knew that my mom wanted me to be a doctor. I knew I'm going to stay in biology. I did not know what exactly to do and how to do it. I was a biology major. I was a neuroscience major. I was a psychology major. I was a biochemistry major. I switched back and forth. I worked 4 jobs. I worked at a bank. I was babysitting. I worked at a different bank. I was a teller. And so all of these things have really helped me to figure out what I want and what I don't want to do. So whatever you do and whatever you choose matters. And even if you don't like it, you've already learned something about yourself. You have already learned that you don't like that, and you got to do something else. So don't stay idle, and just whatever you do, choose something and go for it. I already talked to you about don't go in debt if you don't have to. And also, I think the last thing that I can tell you is that, I've had my mom who has, I'm not sure why and how she thought that I'm going to do it, but she did. And there was no doubt when I looked at her that we were going to succeed. If you have people like that in your life, keep them. Because they see something in you that you may not see today, but that's going to help you succeed. And if you do not know what you're going to do today, and you do not know what you're going to go for college for, that's okay. Just go for it. See if you like it. And if you don't, change it. We're not a tree. We can move. We can adapt, and we can move forward. And with that, I will say thank you to all. And I actually have a minute left, but I'll finish here.